There's two things you really need to be successful with your fat loss journey. The first is discipline, to stay consistent enough. And then the second is patience, to keep staying disciplined and consistent for long enough, because fat loss is a slow process. And if you are doing it right, then it is going to take time. In this video, I want to give you a few tips on how to be more patient with the process. Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jodie and I help you change your beliefs so you can change your body, your health, and your life. So getting to your dream body is a process that requires fat loss in most cases, but it also requires muscle gain. So that increases the length of time that the process is going to take, because majority of you don't have as much muscle as you think. And if you don't have that muscle on you, when you go and lose body fat successfully, you're going to realize this, and you're not going to have that tight, lean body that you think you're going to get just by losing body fat. So that does make the whole body transformation thing harder, in that it just takes a long time. So you really need to cultivate patience to be able to continue with the process for long enough to get to where you want to go. So this video, I have 3 tips for you to help you be more patient with the process, and I'm going to get straight into it. The first tip is to change your mindset and realize that you have to change your mindset in order to be successful and get results that last, and also just to get results that you actually love and that you want, because a lot of you have in your head still that you want to look like this particular person, right? This lean, tight body, but you're still going down this path to get there. And this path is the path of quick fixes and calorie deficits and just lose body fat, when really you have to take this path, and this path is we need to build muscle, we need to lose some body fat, we need to eat enough food, we need to get stronger in our workouts. I know some of you will start down this path, which is great, but you don't stay it out for long enough to actually get to that desired outcome, which is that lean, tight body. Get distracted by trying to get the fat loss to happen too fast and too soon, and so you don't stay the course for long enough on this path. And so that's why it takes such a mindset shift, because you have to stop trying to lose body fat, really. You have to get into that focus of building muscle, getting stronger, fueling your workouts, and stay there. Keep yourself there and just trust that that is going to either allow you to lose body fat whilst you're doing that, if you're recomping and like pushing your workouts hard enough, or you're going to be putting your body in a better position to lose fat in the future. And what you also have to understand is, depending on where you're at, you might have to go through a few cycles of building calories up and then dropping them again, building muscle, going into a deficit to lose body fat. And that might be after a recomposition process. Most of the people you see online that have the body you want have been doing this for years. And so if you have that expectation that for some reason it's only going to take you 8 weeks, like, how is that even realistic? And I don't like realistic. That's not what I want you to strive for. Like, yes, chase those crazy dreams, chase unrealistic, because you can definitely get there, but you have to take the time frame off. And every time you keep going back to that, let's just go to calorie deficit mode, let's just lose body fat, let's just make this happen as fast as possible, you have to ask yourself, did this work for you in the past? Or has it worked for you up to this point? Probably not, right? Otherwise you wouldn't be watching this video, you wouldn't be where you're at now. So when you're getting impatient with the process, think back to what happened last time when you tried to rush it. Did it work for you? If not, then realize that by getting impatient and trying to make it happen faster, you're actually just slowing yourself down long term. You can't rush fat loss or muscle gain because they're slow processes physiologically. So if you try and rush it, if you get sucked into another quick fix, just know it's not going to work. and you're actually taking the longer way. And when it comes to comparison as well, when you're looking at these people that have the body that you want, you shouldn't be comparing, but I know we all do, and it is fine to kind of be inspired by someone else's body, but don't just be inspired by their body. You have to be inspired by their hard work, because everyone that has what you want already has put in the work, and maybe you weren't watching them for long enough. Like, I always think back about my business now, right? And at the start, no one was watching me. No one knew how many hours I was putting in. No one knew about the parties I was missing out on because I was working on my business instead. No one knew me when I was working full time and working on the side as a personal trainer to get that experience, and then also setting up my online business on the side. Like, I don't even know how I managed my life then, but I did. And it's just crazy. Nothing good happens overnight. Like, it takes years. And so if you are comparing yourself to someone else, just realize if you haven't put in that work yet, if you haven't been consistent for years, then you can't expect to be where that person is. Now that brings me to point 2, which is you have to make it a lifestyle. Whatever method you are choosing, if you can integrate it into your life, it makes the process easier anyway. And if it's just part of your life that you've kind of adapted to, you get less concerned with how long it's taking. That's how I have approached so many things in my life that's taken a long time to build, right? My business being one, I just got into a habit of putting in that work. Of course, there were so many days when I didn't feel like it. And of course, there were days and months where I kind of fell off and wasn't so consistent, didn't do what I was meant to be doing, but I kept going. And that's the point, right? And I didn't have an end date on it. So it actually makes it easier to be patient if you're not focused on the time, and if you don't have that end date on things, and if you make it part of your lifestyle. Just accept it. Like, for the next few years, it's going to be how you operate now, because that is the new identity that you are forming. And you have to remember as well, that's what we're working on. You're working on shifting your identity and actually becoming that person. You can't have the body that person has if you're not willing to do the things they're willing to do. And to do those things, you have to be that person first, right? That is really, really important, to take the pressure off, take the time frame away, and then just make it part of your life. And you have to realize that, for example, going back to the business stuff, the hours I put in at the very start were the longest hours and were the hardest, but it's got easier year by year. And that is what is going to happen for you as well. And just remember, just because the phase you're in now requires you to put more work in, or feels harder because it's not yet integrated into your life, or it is new, or you have to learn how to make time for it, or you have to put up with being a bit hungry, or you have to watch the scale go up. Like, all of that is hard because it's new and uncomfortable, but once you adapt, it gets easier. And once your body does adapt and you get to where you want to be, to maintain that, it's a different thing again, right? Like, it doesn't require as much work or the same amount of effort. Change is what requires the most effort. So whilst you're transitioning and going through the change and becoming that person you want to be, it is going to be harder, but slowly and surely chip away at making it part of your lifestyle. And then one day you'll wake up and it's just like, it's just who you are, and it's easy. But throughout that, you're not worrying about the time. You're just becoming that person. And that person that you're becoming doesn't worry about how long it's taking because you've already got it. All right, so the last tip I have for you to help you be more patient with the process is to make sure you're focusing on the right things. And not just focus on it, celebrate it, right? So, for example, I know a lot of you don't care about getting stronger in the gym, but that is what you should be focusing on regardless, because that is what is going to drive your progress in terms of, well, especially in the body recomposition example. So even though the ultimate thing that you want is fat loss, not going to be seeing the results you want up front. So that is why you have to focus on the strength gains that you should be making week by week, even if you don't really want those. And that is going to allow you to be like, oh wow, I'm getting stronger. I trust that because I'm getting stronger, this is working. and this is leading me to that destination, which is a leaner, tighter body. So every time you are getting stronger, every time you're pushing yourself to lift heavier weights, celebrate that like you would be if you were getting the results that you wanted in terms of fat loss. Like if your measurements were going way down or your photos looked completely different in like 2 weeks. It's very unlikely to happen. So that is why you have to make sure you're staying focused on the right thing that is driving that. Another example of this is your hunger, right? If you start training properly and you're hitting your calories, you're hitting your protein, and your hunger is increasing, that is a really good sign that it's working and you're making progress. Even if you can't quite see it yet, you should be able to see it a little bit, but in so many cases, fat loss and muscle gain are so slow, like you're not going to be able to see it in the way that you think you're going to be able to see it. It's like subtle, right? And especially when you're looking at your own photos, like I don't see massive changes in mine. I barely see any changes in mine, but then I send them to my coach and they can see. But if your hunger levels are changing, that is a really good sign. You should celebrate that and use that as motivation to keep going. And you might also need to adjust your calories based on that as well. Often the things that we don't want or the things that make us feel uncomfortable, like hunger, for example, that's what's actually contributing to the result that we really want. Don't ignore those things because you're so focused on the fat loss side of things and the fact it's taking so long. Stop worrying about fat loss. If you stop worrying about the time and you focus on all these other things, you're going to get there a lot faster. One last thing I'll say on this, your health is your wealth, right? As they say. So don't rush it. Take your time, respect your body. And remember, the time, the energy, the money that you invest in your body now, that is not only going to pay off in the short term, that is going to pay off for the rest of your life. And it's probably going to extend your life as well, not just in terms of years, but also in terms of quality years. That is all for this video. I hope it helped you. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. If you liked it, please like it. If you'd like to see more, please subscribe. And if that's the case, I will see you in the next video.